When we don't feel safe, our brains kind of fall into a fear mindset. And then this fear mindset tends to become the scaffolding that surrounds and holds up the rest of our interactions and our engagements with our world. So it's important then to practice intentionally, kind of changing, putting up new scaffolding and seeing in the brain and seeing this new scaffolding of thinking as being how you wish to support the rest of your interactions in the world and of the world. So new scaffolding might take the form of self-talk. It could be the way that you respond on purpose with thinking, like self-compassion practice might be saying to yourself, may I accept myself in this moment? May I give myself all the forgiveness and kindness that I need? That's self-talk, and that's scaffolding that you are applying, building in the brain, in the mind. And that the more that you practice it, remembering that it's dose related, the more the effect will happen in the brain. So it doesn't just happen when you're on the mat in your yoga practice, but it can happen in the world out there.
So go ahead and take a few moments to settle yourself. Settle yourself down into your body. Take a few moments even to become aware of your body sitting here this morning. Make any little adjustments that you have to in your seated posture. Allow the breath to, as you inhale each breath, trying to elongate your spine, to feel that lengthening of breath as you inhale and breathe in. And then inviting your eyes to close if they didn't already. And then just see if you can allow for a sense or an idea of expansiveness. So a sense of space in the body and space in the mind. But then also an idea of awareness being expansive. The space that your experiences are being held in. And so see if you can generate a more boundless, spacious quality to your sense of awareness around the present moment. And then let's add into or center ourselves this morning with a bit of working with our self-talk, and seeing this as kind of a skill that the more that we do it, it allows us to really turn down the kind of the rumination and, you know, that kind of self-talk. So like maybe the negative self-talk, we could say, or the uncomfortable self-talk that just pops up as you know, something that is on autopilot almost. And that we can turn that down when we actually encourage the kind of self-talk that we would like to hear, So self-compassion, kindness, those kinds of practices. And so this morning, let's do some conscious bringing in of the good and reminding ourselves of some good things. So first, just have a sense of people in your life, people in your world, people that just thinking about them, bringing them to mind, make you smile. Or that you feel comforted by the knowledge that they exist or have existed. Maybe they're even people who've passed. Or people who maybe you don't even know, who are out there doing the good work. Maybe people who've inspired you. And just bring them to mind. Call them to your huddle. Call them to mind. And then as you take in the people, maybe sense them more fully, sense their presence. And then also sense what comes up for you in your own kind of unconscious reaction to bringing them to mind. Sort of that quality that blankets, wraps around you, or maybe it builds from the inside. Bringing people to mind, people who make you feel good, people who would have your back, who would stand with you. And now bring to mind too other good things, things that you might be grateful for, things that have already happened, like the invention of the wheel. Just things that you're grateful for. They could be small things, they could be big things. Things that make you, keep us safe. For instance, stop signs, seat belts. Things that support you. Even the solidness of the floor, roof over your head, shoes. Good things. Cool water. And next, bring to mind your own good heart. Connecting with your own good intentions. Your intention to do what's right, even if things maybe didn't turn out perfectly. Connect with a sense of your good intentions. Your own sense of courage, especially in light of what has been scary lately. Bring to mind things that you have done, that you've accomplished, that you've already done. It's always a good idea to remind yourself of things that you've done, projects you've begun, second careers you've initiated, friendships you've cultivated. Just bring to mind things that you've accomplished, that took effort, especially when you feel unmotivated and when you feel isolated. Bring to mind the things that you've already done, things that you're proud of. Be proud of your accomplishments. Breathe in that sense of accomplishment. And then also have a sense of perhaps what you haven't done yet. Connect with the power of yet, that little 3-lettered word. Especially if you're feeling like you're banging your head up against a wall with something that you've been trying to do. Tell yourself, add some self-talk in, new scaffolding, and say, I haven't accomplished it yet. Not yet. And then try to apply a layer of kindness around yourself. Kindness, you can even place your hand over the heart. Have a sense of being on your own side now. Taking in the good experiences, the soothing quality, self-soothing states of being, of the brain. And take a few more breaths in and out. See if you can breathe in now these qualities, the essence of the good things, kindness, your own perseverance and strength, sense of trust in yourself, and your own good heart, good intentions. And take in 2 more deep breaths. And then as you're ready, you can bring the palms together in front of the heart, bowing your head. And so it begins, the practice of yoga. And then as you're ready, you can release your hands. And we're going to stand. Let's start off our practice with some standing forward bends. So you probably want to get a chair, and we're going to do 2 of them. So prasarita, which I think everybody likes, and then parsvottansasana. So you can sit and get your chair, or some kind of maybe a desk also, or top of the desk. It would be nice. So for prasarita, I'm going to step the feet out wide. Go this way, and there's going to be a forward bend going on at the very top of the hips, so you can just take your fingertips to where you're bending forward from. And go ahead and hinge from the very, very top of the legs. And if you even put your fingers into the crease at the top of the legs, like kind of where your underwear elastic is. And as you fold, the fingers are going to kind of get enveloped between the flesh of the thigh and your lower abdominal flesh. Then you know that you're creasing in the right place. So you can bring your arms to the chair, or some people like to take the hands to the floor and then put the head on the chair. I've been doing arms on the chair lately. So just kind of ease yourself in. First forward end of the day, perhaps. Try to keep your knees from locking. And also try to ensure that your feet are in Tadasana. So you've got Tadasana going on in the feet, meaning the outer edges of your feet are parallel. Try to spread the toes, and try also to have a sense of that you are pressing each of the feet evenly around the kind of the tripod of each foot. So if you were trying to make, say, a footprint in the wet sand, you were pressing the foot evenly so that you got a nice even print. So if you like, if you can also rest your head on your forearms. So again, keep your knees from locking so that you're also not just straining the attachments around between the muscles and the knee. So that's not the only place that you're feeling. And hopefully you can actually, even with the knees bending a little bit, you can kind of bring the stretch action into the belly of the back of the thigh, and then also the belly of the calf. And breathe. And take a couple more breaths. If you can, even close your eyes. And just allow for a deep sense of taking refuge. All right, so then when you're ready, you can start to press up from the seat of the chair, and you can do the toe to heel thing. You know, it's kind of like take your knees out wide, but your feet also go out. And then you take your toes in and your knees go in, and you just kind of keep going in and out like that, toe to heel, until you can come to stand. Okay, so now taking one leg forward under the chair, and your second leg will go back. So I have my right leg forward, my left leg back. So it's like you took a giant step, well, kind of a medium step. You're playing Mother May I. Mother May I take one medium step. And so again, as you're looking, see if you can parallel the outer edges of the feet, even though the feet are split like this, like a scissor step. And your hands can come to the chair, to the seat, and you can actually even press up so that the arms are straight, so that you're attempting to create more of a flush back of the pelvis, like it's a shelf, and you don't want the books to fall off. So for some of us, this means that you could try bending the knee of the back leg. So you can play with this posture. So you can bend the back knee, and it gives you the opportunity to sit a little bit more deeply into the sit bones. trying to keep the right side hip and the left side hip at the same level so that they're flush with each other. So another thing that you can do to play with this is you can pick up the front foot. So you hinge on the heel of the front foot, pick up the foot. Heel stays on the floor, but the rest of the foot comes up in the air. So then you might notice a different experience. And another thing you can do is to do a little bit of both. So you pick up the front foot and you bend the back knee. So that's real labor intensive, but kind of gets the job done. So just breathe. Waking up the backs of your legs. Wake up. All right, so go ahead and put your feet back down and straighten your back leg, and you can kind of step in toward the chair. So both your feet come forward. And then you can step back with your second leg. So now the left leg is in the front and the right leg you've stepped back with. So this, the split between the legs is not as wide as prasarita might have been, you know, more in that frontal plane, but and so again, decide, you can try to play with this, bending the back knee. So just let the knee point forward when you bend the back knee. It's just a slight bend. Just so you might feel more of that sitting action. And you might sense a different opening going on in the back of the legs as well when you do this. That's the intention anyways. And then you can try kind of hinge open the front foot. So you're on the heel of the front foot. Maybe do a little bit of both. Breathing. All right, so take one more breath here. And go ahead and start to put your front foot down, and you can push off with the back foot. Bring both feet together, and then just do like a mini utkatasana. So this is the sort of, you're sitting in the chair. You have that sitting action going on in the sit bones, so you're sitting, but the knees are bent, but you're going to use your legs to come up to stand. And now you're standing. So you might want to bring your bolster closer, or a couple blankets if you're using them for child's pose. But let's just start off with the downward puppy. Oh, yep, and you might want a blanket for under the knees for the downward puppy. So I'm trying to remember to remind myself of this, and then to pass it on to you. So the toes are on the sticky mat as you curl them under, but the knees are on the blanket. So the knees are what are getting the extra padding or extra cushioning. And then you can come down to the forearms. Keep the hands about shoulder width apart. So you can either rest your forehead on the mat or your chin for the downward puppy. But just trying to allow the chest to kind of drop. So there's a real good anterior tilt potential here in the pelvis when you're in the puppy. But now let's kind of slide back, slink back, so that the hands are closer to the body and your elbows are now up in the air. They're not resting on the floor. And we're going to begin to curl your toes under and push up into a downward dog. But now let's shift that to a downward frog. So here you can bend your knees toward the floor and then pivot the feet out to the sides so that the knees are going outward, out to the sides. And that you can notice that there's more of that sitting action in your sit bones. And you look like a frog, frog legs. So just let the knees and the feet agree, and the toes agree in the direction that they're pointing. You know, right foot turning slightly clockwise, left foot turning slightly counterclockwise. So it kind of takes the legs out of the picture and you can really roll the tail up. You can get that nice anterior tilt of the pelvis. Just breathe. So it may require a little bit of new strength required. So you can lower yourself down and let's find a child's pose now. So I'm going to just use a folded blanket. So I've been trying to experiment going back to kind of less props for child's pose, just to, you know, exploration, wondering and wandering through. So you can let your knees be wide, big toes are touching just underneath you as you sit on the heels or sit back toward the heels, and then lower yourself down over the single blanket. But if you prefer, it's up to you. You can use your bolster. And you can turn your head to rest on one side of the forehead or the other, whichever works for you, and you can switch even that. Just breathing. All right, so take another breath here. And you can walk your hands in and push yourself up. And let's prepare for another downward frog. So in honor of the spring peepers that I did hear about a week ago. I haven't heard them in a couple of days, but let's go ahead and lift up. And again, you bend the knees so the knees are pointing down toward the floor, and then swivel the feet and the legs actually. So you're swiveling from the hips, if you really notice that. So your legs are going out in a kind of a frog leg looking. You even look like you've got frog legs. So you're trying to get that sit bone rolling up action. channeling your inner frog. So you can take a couple more breaths. And you can swivel your legs back to a downward dog kind of formation, and then come back down to the floor. And let's do another child's pose. So again, you decide what you'd like to put underneath you. As you're ready, coming down. Just soften the muscles around the shoulder blades. Let your elbows kind of slide out to the sides. Let your shoulder blades kind of melt away from the spine. All right, so take 2 more breaths here. And you can go ahead and start to push up. Walk your hands in. And let's do one more downward frog. So starting off on the fours, curling the toes under. Pressing up. And then bending the knees so the knees point toward the floor. And swivel the legs out. Moving from the hips. Rotating from the hips. Just breathe. All right, so take one more breath. And then swivel your legs back. Lower your knees back to the floor. All right, so let's flip over onto the back to do an upside down child's pose. So knees toward the chest, toward the body. Just try to drop the knees toward the body. You can hug the legs in or by wrapping your arms around the shin bones or over the top of the shin bones, or you can slip your hands in behind the knees. Just letting gravity be, and let the body be with gravity. Try to avoid fighting with gravity. All right, so now we're all ready for a spinal twist for Jathara Parivartasan. So taking your arms out wide, you're going to turn your Jathara. And Jathara is your center in Sanskrit. So you're going to turn your Jathara. So I'm going to turn by rotating your legs, I'm going to take my legs over to the right first. So you can close up your arms as well. So like you close up like a giant clam. And then mirror the body, the top parts of the body with the bottom parts of the body. So the knees stack up, feet stack up, hands or palms are together. And then when you're ready, you can open up, reaching the left hand to the left, opening the chest. Breathe. So you can even adjust your head by taking your left hand to the back of your skull. Bend the elbow, take your left hand to the back of the skull, and just pick up the skull a little bit so that you can tilt your chin toward the throat. You could even gently press the back of your head into the floor, lift the sternum, and rotate the rib cage a little bit more to the left. So taking one more breath here. And so engage the pelvic floor. Draw the pelvic floor muscles up, the mula bandha up, and draw the knees back up to center, top side. And again, you can be in this upside down child's pose, and if you want, you can kind of rock from side to side. Stay present, being mindful of the movement. All right, so let's now twist to the left. Take the legs to the left. Jathara getting another turn or a twist. Squeeze in the belly. Close up the clamshell. And then when you're ready, open it back out. Right hand opening, and now the upper portion of the body is rotating to the right. And you can gently press the back of your head into the floor, lift the chest, and rotate the rib cage just a little bit more over to the right as well. Deep breaths. All right, so let's take another breath here. And once again, engaging your pelvic floor, revolving up with the legs. And you can cross your legs, crisscross applesauce style. Wrap your arms around the outsides of the legs, grab a hold of the sides of the feet, and rock. And rock until you rock and sit up. And, okay. So now let's grab a blanket. We're going to do some pigeons. So I've been doing these classic pigeons lately and finding them to be very beneficial. We had kind of gotten away from them doing the 90-90 version, but so I'd like to explore once again the classic and see what's beneficial about that and what can we do to make it safer for those of us who had trouble with the knees, for instance, and the feet. So also grab a couple of blocks because you're going to use these as railings so that you can do this pigeon as an upright posture. Okay, so the blanket will be folded in just a single channel, and you're going to bring your, let me see if I bring this back this way you can see better. You're going to go ahead and kind of crawl forward so that you have the front bend, the bend in the front knee, and then the foot is going to be on the blanket. Ankle will be on the blanket, but the knee is going to be off the blanket. And you're also sitting on the blanket. And then I've also been encouraging folks that if you feel really crooked, depending on how tight your hips are, you could actually put something underneath that, whatever that sit bone is, right or left, whichever side, if you want to. It doesn't have to be as high as a block. You could just use a little cushion or another blanket. It's up to you. So then curl the toes under, hopefully right away of your back foot, so that there's no chance that the foot or the ankle, front of the ankle, or the knee is not going to get strained here. So you're propping yourself up with your blocks as using them as railings. You can decide how high you'd like them to be. You can go up to the medium setting. I have mine on the lower height, which is high enough for me, but you might want to try. I would imagine if you're really tall that maybe the highest setting would be nice. Okay, so there's lift. So you're going to be using your arm strength here. And there's also space. So notice the way the spine kind of drops. Creates a sense of the pelvis kind of hanging like a basket. Stay mindful of the body. Another breath here. And so now we're going to come down, but we're not going to go right to the second side immediately or right away. What I want you to do first is to kind of lean to the side, and you're going to bring your back leg around to the front. Okay, so then slide your foot that was on the blanket, slide it forward, slide it off the blanket. So that you are, ta-da, now you're in janu, sirsasana. So you can use your blocks again. Take your hands to the flesh of the sit bones. Draw the flesh back. So here's another forward bend, but now it's a seated forward bend. So you can use your blocks again as railings. Try to draw the pinky side of the foot that's on the floor here in front of you. Draw it towards you so that your foot is in Tadasana. And you can bend forward into whatever, however deep you are comfortable doing that. Keeping your eye on the foot so that it doesn't flop. All right, one more breath here. And then you can start to push yourself up. All right, so now you can move your blocks off to the side a little bit. We're going to do the same thing, only we're going to move in reverse because now we have to go to pigeon on the second side, right? So that means the front leg is going to bend, so you have to lean to the side to put the foot up on the blanket that you're sitting on and take the other leg back, yeah? And you can immediately grab your blocks as the railings and curl your toes under of the back foot. I think I want to turn a bit. I'm running out of mat space. Okay. And so again, we're hoisting ourselves, lifting up, so that the body can kind of hang, and that the spine can receive this hanging space. And just notice what you notice. Smile to the body. Express some gratitude. Express some gratitude to yourself for taking care of this body. All right, one more breath. And then you can lower yourself down, lean to the side, and bring your back leg around to the front. And slide the heel down to the floor, the foot down to the floor. So now the only thing on the blanket is your pelvis. You're sitting on the blanket. The foot's on the floor. Both the legs are on the mat. And then a little janu sirsasana. Make any little adjustment you need to. And be right on the front edge of those sit bones. So grab your, the flesh of your buttocks. Pull the buttocks back. Gently though. And then put Tadasana in your front foot so that the pinky side of the foot is turning towards you. So I've been noticing that this attention to this detail has had profound sensory impact on my knees. Just noticing that over the last week or so. As I make an effort to find Tadasana as often as I can. And breathing. Coming home to the breath. Take the adjustments as they come. All right, so take another breath here. And then you can come on back up to a more upright seated position and scoop your bent knee to slide the heel down so that now both of your legs are straight, yeah? So you're sitting in Dandasana just for a moment. So we're going to lie back on the floor in supta baddhakonasana, but we're going to do it without anything being underneath your back. We're just going to have a folded blanket for under the head, and you can have the rolled blankets for under the legs if you like. But we're going to make this be a very active supta baddhakonasana with heel slides. Okay, so you can go ahead and get ready. As I said, just fold a blanket for under the head, and if you like, you can tri-fold that blanket so you have a good support for the neck, and then get 2 more blankets for your legs. And make some rolls. Okay. So you can go ahead and start off with your self sitting up, and you can kind of round your back and notice your abdominal muscles engaging as you lower yourself down to the floor. Put your head on your blanket. So now your knees are bent. So to begin, you can just turn the feet, start turning the feet so the soles of the feet are pressing against each other, pressing firmly, and you might notice inner thigh, inner groin action, also lower abdominal, deep lower abdominal core action. And then you can bring your blankets in however close you need them to be so that you don't end up straining your inner thighs. So just close your eyes let's try to stay quiet for a minute or so. So if you feel any pinching in supta baddhakonasana at the hips, push your feet away from the body a little bit more. But if you're okay, then you can bring them in pretty close to you. All right, so let's practice the heel slides. So this is a bit more of a dynamic variation of supta baddhakonasana. So what you're going to do is bring the soles of the feet, press them together again, and start to turn the soles of the feet to the floor. As you bring your inner thighs together, knees come together. So now your knees are pointing up toward the ceiling. And then one at a time, you can slide one heel. Keep the back of the heel in contact with the floor, like you're trying to rub the mat out. Make a groove with your heel on the mat as you straighten one leg. And then slide the other leg out. So sliding your heels, toes pointing up toward the ceiling. So now it's like you're standing or you're lying down in Tadasana. Right? You can draw the pinky sides of the feet up towards you. The front of the ankles are at right angles. And then we're gonna, so you can decide what pattern you want to do this. If you want to go, now I'll go back to the second side or the first side, whatever, but just do them one at a time so you're very mindfully moving. So you're pressing the heel, back of the heel, has contact with the floor the whole time as you slide the heel up, bending the knee. Let the hip turn the leg out to the side as the side of the foot, pinky side of the foot comes to the floor. And then slide the other one all the way up. Same thing. Bring the soles of the feet together again. Press the soles of the feet together. And you might notice engagement of the pelvic floor as you press the soles of the feet together. And now we're going to go bring the inner thighs together again. So turning of the feet, so the soles of the feet turn toward the floor, and slide the heels one at a time all the way down. Pressing out through the heel as you come to straighten your leg. So very active. And so then continue. Let's do it a couple more times. So I think I was encouraging everyone a few months ago to do a couple of these heel slides before you get out of bed in the morning, before you roll to the side and let your feet hit the floor. Bringing the inner groins together and continue on. Don't worry about which leg goes first. Try to let go of that sense of if that's right or wrong. Just let it be. Keeping the heels in contact with the floor. And you're pressing so hard into the mat that maybe even as you're sliding your heels, that maybe you're even kind of wrinkling up your mat. Mine is doing that. Keep having to straighten it out. Okay, one more time. So with this next rotation around, as you're bringing the soles of the feet to press together and dropping your knees out to the sides, then see if you can then release again into a restorative baddhakonasana, supta baddhakonasana. All right, so you can slowly start to bring yourself back. You can straighten the legs out in front of you, slide the heels, and then take your hands to the floor, push yourself up. All right, so let's bring ourselves to the wall for some viparita karani, and remembering that we've been attempting to make viparita karani into a posture that's a bit more therapeutic, not just restorative. So open up a blanket at the wall and you can roll up your sticky mat. So the sticky mat is going to end up becoming a prop that you put between your knees and your legs. But the blanket then is going to be what you're going to lie on. So you don't really need a sticky mat to lie on. The sticky part isn't going to benefit you here. So let's use the sticky mat as that wedge. Oh, and you also need your belt for your hold the legs together. So putting the belt up onto slipping it on, and tighten it once it's, a few inches above your knees. And then you can go ahead and swing the legs up. Grab your mat. I've actually put a rubber band around my my sticky mat lately. So it's going to go, remember the big toe mounds, insides of the big toe mounds are going to squeeze up against the mat, and it's also going to exist between the insides of the knees. Once you straighten your legs, and make sure your back of your hips are flush on the bolster. You feel nice and supported there. Lower back is supported too. Then turning the feet, or letting the feet, move into Tadasana. So the pinky sides of the feet, you're drawing the pinky sides towards you. You're pressing up through the heels. Nice 90-degree angles at the ankles. And you might also notice internal rotation of your thighs. And then you can take your arms up and over or out to the sides. Whichever posture you choose for your arms, whichever position, just let the palms be facing up so that the shoulders are externally rotating. Slight adjustment to the head. You can do that manually. Take your skull in your hands. Tilt your head so the chin comes down toward the throat. And invite your eyes to close. So you can start to wiggle your toes. Maybe do some gentle foosting. And wiggle your fingers. Revolve your wrists. And as you're ready, you can bend your knees a little bit so you can remove your sticky mat from between your knees. And loosen your belt. Slip it off your legs. And then roll to your side when you're ready. And push on up so you can sit up. Okay, so let's now set up for your final restorative posture, which will be a Stonehenge. So you can set up with your 2 blocks. Make sure the blocks, when you place them, are going to be immediately underneath the legs or the knees so that you don't make a wobbly henge. And then have your 2 blankets that you had from, maybe they're still there, from supta baddhakonasana, have them folded thickly so that you can drag them over on top of yourself, top of your torso, for some weight. And the weight placed over the body is going to communicate a sense of safety, a sense of trust, to soothe the nervous system. Plus, it'll be warm. So you can adjust your head, manually adjust your head. Take your chin down toward the throat. You can give yourself a little bit of a hug. Hopefully the blankets aren't in the way. Breathe. And then open up your arms all the way out so the palms are facing up. And you can apply the scaffolding of self-talk as a balm to your practice now. Saying statements such as, may I be kind to myself in this moment, in each moment, in every moment. May I accept myself just as I am in this moment, in each moment, in every moment. And may I give myself all the kindness and courage for right action that I need. May we all find strength, support, and courage for right action in these times. take a moment to notice your post-yoga state. Noticing what you are bringing out with you out into the rest of your day. And you can start to mindfully, slowly move, revolve your ankles, revolve your wrists. And you can remove your blankets and bend your knees and roll to your side. And roll all the way around so that you can come to sit up. Bringing your palms together in front of your heart as you bow your head. And remember now, you already have everything that you need inside. Namaste. And thank you. Thank you all for being